What happens when a chosen one cries? Most people think that tears are just a sign of weakness, just an emotional release. But that's where they're wrong. When a chosen one is pushed to the breaking point, when the pain becomes unbearable, those tears do more than just fall. They activate something unseen, something unstoppable. And those who cause the suffering, they have no idea what's coming. Have you ever felt it? The rejection, the isolation, the silent battles no one else seemed to notice? Have you ever wondered why, no matter how much you try to be kind, to be understanding, some people still seem to turn against you? It's not because you've done anything wrong. It's because your presence alone disrupts something within them. Stay with me until the end, because today you're going to see the truth about what happens when a chosen one breaks, and why those who cause the pain will always face the consequences. I'd like to ask you to subscribe to our channel. Thank you. There are moments in life when you feel something is different about you. Not because of what you do, but because of how people react to you. You've walked into rooms and felt the shift in energy. Some are drawn to you, others seem unsettled, almost threatened, and you don't know why. Since childhood, this has been your reality. People stare, they whisper, they avoid, or they approach with admiration that quickly turns into resentment. You've asked yourself, what have I done wrong? But the truth is, you've done nothing. You were just being yourself. And for some, that is too much to handle. A chosen one does not just exist, they disrupt. Their presence alone challenges the comfort of those who live in illusions. You don't need to speak, you don't need to act, because your very energy carries something different. It awakens, it shakes, it forces people to see what they would rather ignore. But not everyone welcomes that awakening. Some resist it, some despise it, and their discomfort quickly turns into hostility. They exclude you, they betray you, they try to silence what they cannot understand. And the worst part, they make you believe that you are the problem. You've tried to fit in, you've softened your light, you've dimmed your presence. You've made yourself smaller, hoping to be accepted, hoping to be understood. But no matter what you do, the rejection remains. The betrayals keep coming. And eventually, it all becomes too much. You reach your limit. The weight of it, the loneliness, the misunderstanding, the silent battles no one sees, becomes unbearable. And then, for the first time in a long time, you break. You cry. But here's what they don't realize. A chosen one's tears are not like others. They are not just sadness. They are not just pain. They are activations. They carry energy. They send a message. And the universe, it listens. It records. It responds. Those who cause your suffering, they have no idea what they've just set into motion. Because when a chosen one cries, something shifts. The air changes. The balance of energy rearranges itself. And those who thought they could wound you without consequence, they will soon come to understand the weight of their actions. At first, it seems like nothing is happening. The world moves forward. People go about their lives. And those who betrayed you, they feel untouchable, as if they have won. They continue as if nothing ever happened, unaware that they have disturbed something far beyond their comprehension. They carry on with their plans, their ambitions, their illusions of control. But what they don't realize is that nothing goes unseen. The universe does not ignore suffering, especially not the suffering of those who carry divine energy. Every betrayal, every lie, every tear shed in silence, it all gathers, it all builds, it all reaches a breaking point. And when that point arrives, the shift is undeniable. The ones who cause pain will begin to feel a force they cannot explain. Obstacles will appear. Paths that once seemed clear will suddenly close. Everything they thought they had under control will slip through their fingers. They will search for reasons, trying to understand why things are falling apart. They will blame luck, circumstances, even other people. But deep down, they will feel it, an unease, a weight pressing down on them. Because no energy goes unreturned. No action remains unanswered. The universe does not forget. And what was done to a chosen one does not fade into nothing. It lingers. It echoes. It demands balance. But here's the most powerful part of all this. The chosen one does not seek revenge. They do not curse. They do not retaliate. They simply exist. And that existence alone is enough to alter the course of those who have wronged them. Because a chosen one's pain does not disappear, it transforms. It is seen. It is recorded. And when the universe moves in response, there is no stopping it. No one escapes the weight of their own actions. And those who thought they could harm without consequence, they are about to learn a lesson they will never forget. Before continuing with our spiritual evolution, I'd like to ask you to subscribe to our channel. Thank you. Nothing in this world happens without consequence. Every action, every word, every emotion releases a ripple into the unseen fabric of existence. But when a chosen one suffers, those ripples become waves, powerful, unstoppable, undeniable. It may not be visible at first. To the ones who inflicted the pain, it may seem as if their cruelty went unanswered. They walk away with no remorse, believing they have escaped untouched. But what they fail to realize is that the universe has already begun to respond. Because a chosen one's pain is not just a fleeting moment. It is a message. It is energy. And the universe does not ignore it. The ones who cause the suffering may continue their lives as if nothing happened, but the energy they set in motion follows them. It lingers, unseen but present, weaving itself into the patterns of their reality. At first, it's subtle. Little things begin to shift, small obstacles appearing where there were none, opportunities slipping through their fingers, an unexplained heaviness pressing on their thoughts. They dismiss it as coincidence. But deep down, something feels off. A strange tension they can't quite define. A sense that something is watching, something is waiting. And then, the shift becomes undeniable. The energy they once controlled begins to slip away. The paths they once walked with ease now feel uncertain. Their plans, once so solid, start to unravel. It's as if the very air around them has thickened, making every step heavier. This is not misfortune. This is not random chaos. This is the universe answering the imbalance they created. The suffering they caused did not vanish. It did not dissolve into nothingness. It was seen. It was recorded. And now is returning to its source. But this is not about revenge. The chosen one did not seek justice. They did not curse or retaliate. They did not wish harm upon those who wronged them. They simply existed, and their existence alone was enough to trigger a response beyond human understanding. Because there are laws in this universe that no one can break without consequence. The law of energy, the law of balance, the law of return. When a chosen one is pushed to the point of breaking, when their tears fall not just from sadness, but from a soul-deep exhaustion, those tears do not disappear. They activate something unseen, something unstoppable. The ones who inflicted harm begin to feel the weight of what they have done. The ease with which they once moved through life is replaced with an invisible resistance. Doors that once opened effortlessly begin to close. Relationships that once felt secure become fragile. The things they took for granted start slipping away. They may try to fight it. They may try to force their way through, unaware that they are fighting against something far greater than themselves. And the more they resist, the more they struggle, the deeper they sink. It is in these moments that some begin to realize the truth, that their actions were not without consequence, that the pain they caused did not fade into the past, but instead wove itself into their future. Some will deny it, refusing to accept responsibility. Others will recognize it too late, understanding only in hindsight that they set their own downfall into motion. Because this is not about punishment. This is about reflection. The universe is not cruel. It does not seek to destroy. It seeks only to restore. And those who have created imbalance must face the energy they have released. But the most extraordinary thing about all of this is that while they struggle against the weight of their actions, the chosen one is undergoing something entirely different. They are no longer in the same place where they were broken. They are no longer trapped in the pain that once consumed them, because something is shifting within them as well. Their suffering was not just suffering. It was transformation. It was preparation. And while the ones who caused the pain face the consequences of their actions, the chosen one is rising into something even they don't yet fully understand. Some people believe they can act without consequence. They betray, manipulate, and wound others without a second thought, convinced that their actions will fade into the past, buried and forgotten. They assume that life will go on as it always has, that their choices will not return to them. But what they fail to realize is that nothing ever truly disappears. Energy does not vanish. It moves. It lingers. It waits. And when a chosen one suffers, the universe itself takes notice. At first, it's subtle. The people who caused harm go about their days as if nothing has changed. They continue their lives, feeling untouchable. But beneath the surface, something is shifting. The air grows heavy around them. The ease they once had begins to slip through their fingers. Opportunities that once fell effortlessly into their laps now seem just out of reach. Relationships that once felt secure begin to crack under invisible pressure. They blame stress. They blame luck. But deep down, something in them whispers that this is different, that something unseen is at play. And then the unraveling begins. Doors that were once wide open slam shut without warning. Projects they were certain of fail inexplicably. The people who once stood by them begin to distance themselves, sensing a shift in their energy. They feel a weight pressing on their chest, a sense of unease they can't shake. At night, they lie awake, haunted by an unnamed fear. Because the energy they sent out, the suffering they caused, is not gone. It is returning. This is not karma in the way most people understand it. It is not a punishment from external force. It is the natural law of balance in action. When someone interferes with the path of a chosen one, when they seek to break what was divinely guided, they are not just hurting a person. They are disrupting something far greater. And the universe does not allow disruption without response. It does not act out of vengeance. It acts out of equilibrium. The chosen one did not seek revenge. They did not ask for justice. They did not demand retribution. But their energy, pure, divine, untamed, does not need to ask. It moves on its own, setting forces into motion that no human hands can stop. The suffering inflicted upon them does not dissolve into nothingness. It imprints itself onto the very fabric of existence, waiting for the moment when balance must be restored. And so, the ones who inflicted pain find themselves trapped in their own cycle. The very things they once used to control others now spiral out of their grasp. Their manipulation no longer works. Their charm no longer holds power. The lies they wove so carefully begin to unravel, revealing the truth they so desperately tried to bury. The weight they placed upon others now rests upon their own shoulders, heavier than they ever imagined. They will try to fight it. They will try to force their way forward, pushing against the current that now flows against them. But the more they struggle, the deeper they sink. They will try to reach out for help, only to find that those who once supported them no longer have the strength to carry their burdens. The world, which once seemed so open to them, now feels like a maze with no exit. And they will begin to understand this is not random misfortune. This is not coincidence. This is the return of what they put out into the world. But while they fall, something else is happening, something they never expected. The chosen one, the person they tried to break, is not where they left them. They are not trapped in sorrow. They are not drowning in pain. They are rising. They are changing. They are becoming something new, something unshakable. And soon, those who once tried to destroy them will be forced to watch, powerless, as the one they underestimated transforms into something they can no longer touch. Pain does not weaken a chosen one. It refines them. It strips away illusions, dismantles false identities, and forces them to face the truth of who they are. At first, the weight of suffering feels unbearable, like the entire world is pressing down, trying to crush them under its force. But something else is happening beneath the surface, something the ones who inflicted the pain never considered. They thought they were breaking a chosen one. They were only forging them. Think back to the hardest moments of your life. The nights when the silence felt suffocating, when the loneliness wrapped around you like chains. The moments when betrayal hit like a blade to the soul, cutting deep, leaving you breathless. At the time, it felt like the end. But looking back now, can you see it? Can you see how those moments shaped you? How they forced you to grow in ways you never expected? How they revealed something within you that no one could ever take away? This is what those who tried to break you never understood. They thought their words, their actions, their cruelty would leave you shattered. But instead, they created something new. A version of you that is untouchable. Because suffering does not destroy a chosen one, it awakens them. Every wound, every rejection, every moment of despair was fuel for something greater. They forced you into the fire, thinking you would burn. But you did not burn. You transformed. At first, the shift is subtle. You begin to notice how the things that once hurt you no longer hold the same power. The opinions of those who try to tear you down no longer weigh on your spirit. The fear that once kept you frozen starts to fade, replaced by something unfamiliar but undeniable. Strength, clarity, a sense of self that cannot be shaken. And then, without even realizing it, you start to rise. There is something unique about a chosen one's transformation. It is not linear, nor is it predictable. It happens in layers, in moments of silent realization, in the pauses between suffering and awakening. One day, the pain is unbearable. The next, it feels distant, like a fading echo of a life that no longer belongs to you. The world that once seemed so heavy now feels different. Not because it changed, but because you did. You are no longer a prisoner of what happened to you. You are now the architect of your own path. The ones who cause your pain still believe they have power over you. In their minds, you are the same as you were before, wounded, fragile, uncertain. But they are wrong, because the version of you they once knew no longer exists. They shattered something, yes, but what emerged from those broken pieces is something far greater. You no longer react to their words. You no longer crave their validation. Their existence no longer defines yours, and that terrifies them. Because what truly unnerves those who once caused harm is not just your strength, it is your detachment. There comes a moment when you no longer feel the need to look back, to seek closure, to prove anything to anyone. The past loses its grip on you. The pain that once defined you is now nothing more than a lesson learned, a distant memory that no longer stirs emotion. You have outgrown the very world that once tried to confine you. And those who built their existence around your suffering, they will feel the void of your absence in ways they never expected. There is an untold power in no longer needing what once held you down. The moment you stop explaining yourself, stop waiting for apologies, stop justifying your presence, you step into a different kind of energy. An energy that no one can touch. A chosen one's transformation is not about revenge, is not about proving anything. It is about stepping into their true essence, finally understanding what they were meant to become all along. And those who caused your suffering, they will feel it, not through words, not through actions, but through absence. The moment they realize they no longer have access to you, that their control has shattered, that they can no longer touch your spirit, that is when they will finally understand what they have lost. And by then, it will be too late, because you are no longer where they left you. The universe did not forget what was done. It did not ignore the suffering. It witnessed, it recorded, and it responded. But what those who inflicted harm never expected was that the greatest response would not be their own downfall, it would be your transformation. Because while they remain bound to the consequences of their actions, you are no longer even playing the same game. You have become something else entirely, something they can no longer touch. And just when they think they have seen the full extent of your strength, something even greater is about to unfold. Because a chosen one's final transformation is not just about survival. It is about ascension. And when that moment comes, nothing will ever be the same again. There comes a moment when a chosen one no longer seeks approval. When the opinions of those who once hurt them no longer carry weight, when the pain no longer controls them. And in that moment, they awaken. It does not happen all at once. At first, there is hesitation, an echo of old wounds whispering that they must fight, that they must prove, that they must hold on. But then, something shifts. The need to be understood fades. The desire to explain vanishes. And what remains is something untouchable, an inner knowing, a presence so unshakable that the world itself adjusts in response. The very people who once thrived off their pain begin to sense it. The ones who once held power over them suddenly feel powerless. Have you ever noticed how the things that once consumed you suddenly lose their grip the moment you no longer care? The things that once triggered an emotional storm inside you now pass by like distant noise. The people who once drained you now seem powerless in your presence. This is the moment of true awakening, the moment when nothing external can shake the foundation of who you are. Because once a chosen one reaches this stage, they are no longer just surviving. They are untouchable. At first, those who once caused harm refuse to believe it. They test the boundaries, try to provoke, attempt to pull the chosen one back into the chaos. But it does not work. There is no reaction, no anger, no sadness. No need to defend. The energy simply does not reach them anymore. And this terrifies those who once held control. They see the change, but they cannot understand it. How is it that someone they once manipulated so easily now stands before them completely free? How is it that the same pain they once inflicted no longer has any effect? This is the stage where a chosen one no longer fights for a place in spaces that were never meant for them. They no longer crave validation from those who never truly saw them. They no longer waste energy explaining themselves to those who were never willing to understand. Instead, they rise. They move differently. They carry an energy that is felt before a word is spoken. They step into rooms, and the very atmosphere changes, not because they demand attention, but because their presence commands it. But the most powerful shift is not how others see them, it is how they see themselves. They look in the mirror and no longer recognize the person they once were. The version of themselves that once shrank to fit, that once sought acceptance, that once believed the words of those who tried to break them, that version no longer exists. In its place stands someone who no longer chases, no longer explains, no longer waits for closure that will never come. Someone who understands that the only validation they ever needed was their own. And here is the real turning point. Because when a chosen one reaches this level of awakening, the people who once underestimated them begin to feel it. Not through confrontation, not through revenge, but through absence. The energy they once fed off is no longer available to them. The reactions they once thrived on no longer come. The control they once believed they had is completely gone. And they are left to face themselves, the very thing they spent so long running from. Because that is the truth no one wants to admit. The ones who hurt you were never strong. They only felt powerful because they could control your emotions, your reactions, your sense of self-worth. But once that control is gone, they are left with nothing but their own reflection. And the weight of their own emptiness begins to crush them. They see the person they tried to destroy standing tall, unmoved, untouchable. And they realize too late that they never had power to begin with. And this is where everything changes. Because when a chosen one reaches their final form, they no longer seek revenge. They no longer explain. They no longer fight for validation. They simply rise. And those who tried to destroy them, they will watch, powerless, as the one they once underestimated becomes untouchable. But here's the real question: what happens next? A chosen one who has awakened is no longer part of the cycle of pain. They do not seek revenge. They do not waste time explaining. They do not lower their energy to match those who once tried to hurt them. They simply rise. It is a shift that is almost invisible at first. But something in the air changes. The weight they once carried dissolves. The emotions that once chained them vanish, and for the first time, they feel what it means to be truly free. The world no longer dictates their reality. The past no longer defines them. And those who once sought to control them no longer have a place in their story. At first, those who once caused harm try to deny it. They convince themselves that the chosen one is still the same, still vulnerable, still within reach. But deep down, they feel it, the absence of control. The energy they once fed off is gone. The power they once wielded over someone has slipped through their fingers like sand. And the realization begins to set in: they never truly had control to begin with. When a chosen one reaches this state, they no longer react to the world in the same way. The people who once hurt them, the words that once pierced them, the situations that once drained them, they no longer hold weight. Is not that the chosen one forgets, is that they transcend. They rise beyond the need for closure, beyond the need for acknowledgement. The past loses its grip. The pain loses its meaning. And in that space of detachment, something extraordinary is born. The transformation is undeniable. It is not loud. It is not forceful. It does not need to be. The energy of a chosen one speaks for itself. Their presence alone shifts reality. They walk through life with a certainty that cannot be explained, only felt. People who once dismissed them now sense it. Those who once doubted them now watch in silent recognition. Because the truth is undeniable, a chosen one who is fully awakened is unstoppable. But the most powerful thing of all is that they no longer need recognition. They do not seek validation. They do not search for understanding. They have outgrown the need for external approval. Somewhere along the way, they stopped waiting for others to see them. They stopped fighting to be heard. They stopped asking for permission to be who they were always meant to be. And in doing so, they stepped into something greater than validation. They stepped into themselves. This is the final stage, the point of no return, the moment when nothing external can shake them. The world can change, people can come and go, circumstances can rise and fall, but a chosen one remains unmoved. They do not resist life. They flow with it. They do not chase. They attract. They do not explain. They simply exist. And their existence alone becomes a force that others cannot ignore. And those who once tried to break them, they are left to witness something they never expected. They thought they were removing power. They were only revealing it. They thought they were silencing a voice. They were only amplifying it. And as they stand there watching the chosen one rise beyond anything they ever imagined, they finally understand they never had control to begin with. You've seen it unfold, the pain, the rejection, the silent battles no one ever witnessed. You felt the weight of carrying something you never asked for. But now you understand. You were never meant to be broken. You were meant to rise. And the ones who tried to dim your light? They will have no choice but to watch as you step into a version of yourself they can no longer touch. This is the truth they never wanted you to know. A chosen one's pain is never wasted. It transforms. It reshapes reality. It awakens something unstoppable. And now the only question left is, are you ready to step into the power that was always meant for you? Let me know in the comments, have you ever felt the shift? Have you ever sensed that those who tried to hurt you were suddenly facing their own consequences? Share your experience, because your journey may be the confirmation someone else needs. If this video has changed your spiritual journey and helped you connect with your universal strength, subscribe to the channel, leave a like below, and activate the notification bell so we can notify you when new content arrives. We also suggest watching the video indicated on the screen so you can continue your journey of spiritual growth and inner evolution of knowledge. Thank you for staying with us until the end, and see you in the next video.